Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Kasloff. With me, as always, is Larry Sands, and we are deep in the midst of Spooktober, Larry.
This
My
is
favorite.
Halloween. This is Halloween. Oh, I'm gonna sing while you talk. Go ahead.
Please
This
don't,
is
because I
Halloween. This is
really don't
Halloween.
like The Nightmare Before Christmas. I never finished
Really?
watching. Yeah, well, one, I'm not a big Tim Burton fan.
Oh, okay. All right. All
Yeah, I
right.
like two, maybe three of his movies. Other than that, not a fan.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yes. Okay.
So, Larry, can we talk about the refrigerator incident this episode?
No.
Okay, okay,
What? No,
okay,
wait. Why? Why do you want to talk about
okay.
the
You know what,
what's the
Larry?
big
Let's
deal?
let's get to the
No.
good stuff.
No. Yes.
As
No.
we know, I am very proud and love my home state of New Jersey. I love asking the Civil War question, the Jersey Civil War. I will be asking the guests that question, but other than that, this is my favorite time of the year, and I absolutely love lighthouses. I don't know why, there's just always something about them that draw my attention,
Magical.
especially haunted lighthouses. So when I was looking up stuff for Spooktober this year, I looked up Jersey haunted lighthouses, and one of them that drew my attention. Well, you know what? Let's let our guests come on and tell us all about it. Milton, how's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Gentlemen, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate, the fact that I am here sitting with you. Well, yeah, sitting with you via, the fancy, you know, Zoom box. But yeah, I appreciate everything, and hopefully, when this is done, we'll have a little bit more interest for people to come and visit our lighthouse.
That'd be awesome. So tell us about the lighthouse, and then we're going to get into the something you told us when you first got on. Tell us the name of the lighthouse, location, all that stuff.
Okay, so the name of our lighthouse is the Absecon Lighthouse, and we are located in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Now, the reason we're not called the Atlantic City Lighthouse is for the simple fact that when we were first commissioned back in 1854, Atlantic City had not yet been established as a town. So, being that the barrier island along the Jersey coastline that we stand on, Absecon Island, they named us Absecon Lighthouse. Several months after that fact, yes, Atlantic City was incorporated as a town, but that's the reason we're called the Absecon Lighthouse and not the Atlantic City Lighthouse. We are actually the tallest lighthouse in the state of New Jersey, and we are the third tallest masonry lighthouse in the United States. We also have the distinction of being 166 years old. That makes us the oldest building in all of Atlantic City.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. Um, and I how do okay. I'm in Texas. I'm in the middle of Texas. And when we were living in California, never really lived around a lighthouse. And for people that don't necessarily know anything about lighthouses unless they see it in a movie, how does it does it stay on all day? Does you just turn it on around when it gets dark?
Sure, sure. Yeah, lighthouses were basically originally they were created to be a beacon of light to warn sailors. Now, when I say warn sailors, try to imagine this. It's a stormy night. Lighthouses had not yet been established. And as a sailor, you may not realize how close you're sailing to the shoreline or how close you may be coming to obstacles underneath the water that you can't see, maybe rocks, a reef, something of that nature. Lighthouses were built to be a warning beacon. With the light on at night, the sailors that and realize, okay, that's where the shoreline is, or that's where dangerous waters are. As a sailor, I need to steer my ship away from that lighthouse so that I don't come into contact with whatever it's telling me to stay away from. In fact, prior to the lighthouse here in Atlantic City being built, the sailors actually nicknamed the waters off of Atlantic City the Graveyard Inlet because so many ships crashed off of our shoreline. Many sailors, of course, unfortunately lost their lives. The ocean became their final resting place, henceforth the graveyard. And that was it. It was a beacon of light to let ships know, okay, if you see us, you're either coming too close to the shoreline, we're protecting you and letting you know that there are dangerous waters around where we are. Stay away from us. That's the exact reason why lighthouses were built. Now, with your question, do you turn the light on during the day, things of that nature? Actually, no. Lighthouses over time became we were the predecessor of today's GPS system. First off, you'll never find two lighthouses in the entire United States that are painted exactly alike on the outside. That outside paint is called a daymark, and it's a specific color design associated with that lighthouse only. So that way, as sailors are sailing along the shoreline during the day, they could take a look at the light pattern, refer back to their charts, and get an idea as to where their location was.
Wow.
Over time, they realized, okay, sailors know where they are during the day. How do we let them know where they're sailing at night? They came up with the concept of the light pattern. You'll never find two lighthouses in the same state that have the same light pattern. We happen to be known as a fixed light. What I mean by that is it's a solid, steady glow where the light is lit from basically sundown to sunrise. Think of taking the lampshade off of one of your living room lights. That's what our lighthouse looks like during the evening. Some lighthouses flash their lights, some rotate, some use combinations like a fixed flashing, some even use colors such as red and green. And these patterns would also be listed on a navigator's charts. So as they're sailing along the coastline at night, the navigator could take a look at the light characteristic, refer back to his chart, and know what lighthouse they're passing by in the evening. So as I said, lighthouses basically not only did they let sailors know of the warnings of coming too close to a dangerous area, but they also were the GPS of yesteryear. They let them know exactly where their location was.
Wow.
Wow, that's
Very
so
well
interesting.
said. That's amazing. That's amazing. And this kind of goes without saying, and I don't think people really think about it too much, except when they're starting to listen to this episode. Lighthouses are still very relevant to today's maritime travelers.
Yes,
I would assume.
yes, yes. Many lighthouses, unfortunately, have been allowed to have their lights shut off.
Hmm.
The Absecon lighthouse was officially decommissioned in 1933, not because of our own doing, but by 1933, Atlantic City had become such a popular destination that the hotels being built at the time were now being built taller than the light was actually in height. So because of that, from the sailor's point of view, looking ashore, all of these tall buildings and hotels were blocking the view of the lighthouse. They could not see us during the day. Plus the fact, as I had mentioned, the solid, steady glow light. Well, once upon a time where we were the only light lit, now we had to compete with the lights of the hotels, the lights of the boardwalk, the lights of the restaurants and nightclubs on the boardwalk. So the sailors really couldn't pinpoint our light, and they started to complain to the federal government. And well, the federal government decided if you have a lighthouse, but it can't perform its primary function as a navigational aid, why should we bother to maintain it? And as I said, it was July of 1933 that we were officially decommissioned. Now, there are hundreds of lighthouses around the United States that are still very much in use. And it's the Coast Guard today that operates and maintains all active lighthouses.
Wow, see, those are
Wow.
some things I never knew. Now a lot of lighthouses have this, but you're on for Spooktober, so tell us about the ghost history
Graveyard.
or haunted
Yeah.
history of the lighthouse?
Sure, sure. First off, just from doing my own independent research, yeah, lighthouses are just associated with, haunted dwellings. And it's easy to understand why. Again, prior to lighthouses being built, many ships in that geographical location, they were, struck by underwater obstacles. They ran aground. Sailors drowned into the ocean. Um, there are evidently, you know, those spirits that walk around and still have not yet passed on. Other theories are that the lighthouse was such a permanent fixture. Many ships, when they were in danger, would steer towards a lighthouse, knowing that that at least is solid ground. And if they could get into somewhere into the shallows, possibly they could swim to that lighthouse and at least be on solid ground. So the fixation and the energy that was created for man to save his own life, possibly when they drowned, that energy was then transferred to the lighthouse itself. Um, as I said, we were built in an area here in Atlantic City that had the nickname of the Graveyard Inlet. Uh,
Yeah.
many ships crashed. In fact, the reason we were actually built revolves around one of the most historic shipwrecks along the New Jersey coastline. In 1854, there was a passenger ship called the Powhatan, and it sailed across the Atlantic carrying 311 German European immigrants. These people, along, of course, with the staff of the ship, they were coming to the ports of New York to start a brand new life in America. Well, the Powhatan set sail in December, and by the time it got to the I guess the area, it was January, and it was prime season for nor'easters. It actually ran into a January nor'easter that lasted for 3 days. The Powhatan never made it to the ports of New York. It actually blew off course and ran aground right off of Long Beach Island, New Jersey, Harvey Cedars, to be exact. And unfortunately, the life saving crew that was there at Harvey Cedars could not get out to rescue anyone. The weather was that extreme. And unfortunately, all 300 passengers, the crew, and of course the passengers, all died in that winter nor'easter. There was not one survivor. For us here in Atlantic City, 60 of those dead bodies washed up along the shoreline and in the Back Bay area. And if anyone listening should ever find themselves in the historic town of Smithville down here in southern New Jersey, across the street of Route 9 from Smithville is a Methodist church. Now, that church, once upon a time, was actually a Quaker church, and there's an unmarked mass grave where those 60 bodies are buried. I personally have met with the minister of the church, and he has confirmed that somewhere in that graveyard is the mass grave. Unfortunately, as I said, again, it's not marked, but there is a sign that does tell of the tragedy of the Powhatan. So again, re, you know, souls that have not been officially given the ability to rest in peace. That these are the reasons why so many of us believe that lighthouses have that haunted history.
Wow.
Now,
Well, really quick, Eric. Now, are you? This may be a crazy question, and I even asked Eric this. I was like, how 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 open are you? And it seems like you're pretty open because you're talking about it. To embrace your haunted history. It seems like you're
I'm sorry.
pretty willing to talk about it because not many people are, I
Yeah,
think, you
absolutely.
know?
Absolutely. Look, my official title is Operations and Education Coordinator, and I've been here at the Lighthouse for over 10 years. And I came on board in 2010. In 29, we actually had the Sci Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters come and
Yeah.
explore and do a investigation here at the lighthouse. Shortly after that aired is when I came on board, and we have had such an influx of calls from paranormal groups to investigate the lighthouse that I've been their liaison for 10. I have heard, and I all fellas, and let me be the first one to let you know, I am God's biggest skeptic. If you want me to believe in Bigfoot and little green men, then they better be knocking at the door come 5 o'clock and we're going belly up to the local bar. That's the only way I'm going to believe it. I need to see it for me to believe. I have heard, I have seen, I have experienced more things in the paranormal with this lighthouse than I ever thought possible. I am a true believer in the paranormal. Absolutely.
So, in fact, right when you got on, you mentioned that something happened about
Yeah.
15 minutes ago.
Yes.
What was it?
Literally about 15 minutes before we started this podcast. Um, so I'm trying to eat up my lunch, and last week we installed a new intercom system. Now we have it. It's very similar to like a two-way baby monitor. We
Yeah.
have an intercom up here on the second floor in the hallway that surrounds the offices. We have an intercom downstairs in our gift shop, and then we have an intercom upstairs in the tower. And this way, we're able to communicate with each other instead of pulling out the cell phones, texting, yelling at the top of our lungs. It's a simple intercom, 3-channel, something I purchased off the internet. I installed it last week. As I am eating my lunch, the speaker goes off, and it went off twice. And this is what I heard. Stopped. Went back on again. And that was it. As clear and loud as plain of day.
Next thing you're going to say, you're the only one there.
As a matter of fact, I am.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
my boss is actually, she had several community meetings that she was going to today. So she's basically on the road, working at home, and then she has a dinner function later on tonight. So yeah, I'm the only one here. And you know what? It doesn't bother me. Sure, did it phase me? Like, yeah, I'd be lying if I said otherwise. But
Yeah.
I've been with the Lighthouse for 10 years, and I can honestly say that even though we all have had our own little experiences, there is not one staff member or volunteer that has ever been maliciously hurt, maliciously touched. We've never felt that our health was ever put in harm's way. Whatever it is, whomever it is that has decided to make residency here or stop by as they're passing on, we like to believe that they know that we have a job. And our job is to educate our visitors when they come into the lighthouse about our reason why we were built. And that's what we do. We leave them alone, they leave us alone. And it works out. Now, if by chance at 5 o'clock when I lock the doors that some of the paranormal, spirits want to have a kegger, all I ask is that they clean up before I come in at 9 the next day. I don't like to clean up on anybody else's mess. That's rule number one.
So is there any
All right, my wife will attest to this. I don't like to clean up anybody else's mess.
So are there any particular spirits that are known, like legendary ones that are known to still be there?
Yeah, unfortunately, we do not have that. Yeah, we don't have, there's never been like the story that, the old lighthouse keeper Bob who accidentally fell to his death
Okay.
from being up the top of the lighthouse, or that we don't have any of that. We have had keepers die on premises, and it was of natural causes, but we've never had any tragic tales that would lead one to believe that
Okay.
that's why they're here. In the EVP recordings I have heard male voices. I have heard female voices. I have heard Cockney English accents. Um,
Wow.
I've even heard a female drop F-bombs left and right like you wouldn't
Wow.
believe. So, again, all sorts of things happen here. Whether they're passing through, whether they've established, I honestly don't know. But again, as I can tell you, none of us have ever been maliciously harmed.
That's the
Wow.
most important. Now, here's something I was wondering while you said that. While a lighthouse is meant to be a light, for humans during certain times, I wonder if it could also act as something for the spirits, as a thing to draw them near because just the way things are.
It could be, when we had to do the shutdown in 2020 because of COVID, um, as we were, as we were closed, we kind of put together a reopening plan. And now, please keep in mind, we are a state-owned facility. We are owned by the state of New Jersey. So we need to, follow any rules and regulations that they set forth. So of course, when everything shut down in 2020, we had to close our doors. We're also recognized as a non-for-profit organization. So that kind of gives us a little wiggle room to, you know, do our thing. So as we were working on the steps to reopen, we noticed, of course, that a lot of parents were taking their children out of school. They were taking them away from the Zoom rooms that were going on, and they were teaching them at home. So we decided, you know what? Let's create a program, kind of like a family field trip that works itself on the STEM uh, aspect, or what we found out, the STEAM, STEAM, A standing for the arts. And one of the things that I found out doing my own research was that yes, lighthouses are used in a lot of art. They are extremely strong religious symbols. So with that thought in mind, if you're looking at it from a religious standpoint, yes, lighthouse, I am the beacon of light. I am guiding you in your way. I am here as a pillar of strength. I am here on a solid foundation. So if you look at it through those eyes, absolutely, there could be those that saw the lighthouse as something that they believed in religiously and have chosen to maybe embrace that concept.
Very interesting.
That's very cool. Um, Talk a little bit about and I know you don't have it on your website, obviously, but do you offer ghost tours?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
do.
Again, yes. Well, we it. I'll get into that. Getting to what you're saying, it's not on the website. You're absolutely correct. We don't want people to think of us as the haunted lighthouse in New Jersey, the
Okay.
haunted lighthouse in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
We want people to understand we're the tallest lighthouse in the state and third tallest masonry lighthouse in the country. And we have a long, amazing history of
Yeah.
information. In fact, we were overseen by Lieutenant George Meade, who later on became General George Meade and led the Union Army to victory at the Battle of Gettysburg. There's an
Wow.
awful lot of history that's
Yeah.
associated with us. But if people do ask, absolutely. In fact, we've even gone so far as to put together a small little take home brochure of the hauntings
Ooh.
that have happened here
Wow.
at the Absecon Lighthouse. I personally put it together with, of course, the assistance of my director. And if I'm able to, and I have the free time, I am more than happy to just talk to people one on one about what we've experienced here. But if I am busy and I'm kind of glued to my desk, at least they have something to take home that they could read at a later point in time and understand what goes on here. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, we do offer paranormal groups the ability to rent out the lighthouse for investigations.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
$100 an hour, and it's a 4-hour minimum.
Nice.
They are offered on Saturday nights, starting at 7 p.m. And all they need to do is either call the lighthouse or find my email, which is Milton Glenn at abseconlighthouse.org. My email's all over the website.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Just
And
Google Absecon Lighthouse. My email is all over the website, so you can do that. But
yes.
in October, the last Saturday of October, and I believe that's the 28th this year, we will
Yeah.
be doing our haunted tales and paranormal investigation. And we've been doing that for several years. 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock reservations are for the haunted tales. And what we do is we take you around the property. We tell you the history of the haunted things that have happened here at the lighthouse, everything from the shipwrecks to the deaths of keepers, even to the legend of the Jersey Devil
Here we go.
visiting the lighthouse in the early 1900s. We tell you these tales. Then at 8 o'clock, we are assisted with the New Jersey Researchers of Paranormal Evidence, or NJ Rope, as their acronym is. These folks have been dynamite to us. They've been helping us for the last 10 years. And I believe it's, if I remember correctly, it will be $50 a person. It's a 2-hour investigation. And then you can sign up from 8 to 10, and you'll be led around the property by the NJ Rope team and literally be able to do your own form of a paranormal investigation here at the lighthouse.
That's
That's cool.
awesome. If
That's
you
super
can
cool.
send me some of that
Yeah,
info, I can put it up on our
sure.
Instagram so we can,
Yeah.
help
Yep.
cross promote you
Yeah.
Yep.
guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're working. We just finished doing a huge outdoor festival this weekend. So we're kind of taking a little bit of time to, blow off and relax. But come October, we will start taking reservations. We'll be posting the press release. We'll post that information on our Facebook page. So for any of your listeners that may be in the New Jersey area that are interested in this, please like us on Facebook. You can search us at Absecon Lighthouse. We are constantly posting, and once that we flip the calendar page to October, it will be full steam ahead for the haunted lighthouse tour in October on the 28th, if I remember that last Saturday.
And all
But
the
yes,
links
definitely.
will be in the description when you're listening in on Anchor. And when I post it on my Facebook, I will mention everything that's going on in here because a lot of our listeners are either from Texas, New Jersey, and the tri-state area. We have overseas listeners too, but
Mhm, mhm.
mainly the continental
They're all
United
over.
States are
Yeah.
where we get
Yeah.
the bulk of our listeners.
And I
Yep.
think it is important to throw in here that, you know, obviously you have things going on in October, which is absolutely awesome because it's like I think more businesses should be able to do that, you know? Um I
Yeah.
commend you guys for doing that and embracing everything. But
Yeah.
what you because you
And
can
you
do it
know, I
all over, right?
they're
Oh, go ahead.
right. I know that there are some. In fact, when we were putting together our October program, I personally reached out to the St. Augustine Lighthouse down in Florida. Now there, they do monthly paranormal ghost tours, and I was able to reach out and speak to someone and kind of get a feel for what their program is, and they were very, very open and very wonderful. And then I took that basis and kind of created what we're doing. So if you are listening out there and you're within, somewhat driving range of a lighthouse, reach out to them. They may have some kind of a program, especially come October. October is the month where where all the ghouls and goblins finally get a chance to dance with the living. So
That's
who
right.
knows what may be in your own backyard? I know that I know down in Cape May, New Jersey, they do on regular basis. They have haunted walking ghost tours on a regular basis. Um, Cold Spring Village in Cape May, New Jersey, will do a haunted tour in October. All you have to do is just do a quick little search. You'd be amazed at what very well may be in your own backyard.
And I just wanted to mention our friends in Clinton, New Jersey have the Red Mill, which often has paranormal tours and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this goes without saying, but everybody like listening all over, wherever you're listening, if you do go to New Jersey or New York to visit New York, I mean, pop over. How far are you from like New York? If people go, is
From the
it like a
city,
day trip?
from
Yeah.
yeah, from the city, if you hop on a Greyhound through that Port Authority, you can be in Atlantic City in 2.5 hours. I used to do
Oh,
it all the time from here to go up there when I was a lot younger. So it's an easy 2.5 hour bus ride. Get yourself a round trip ticket. We are here in Atlantic City. We're now starting to get into we're slowly getting to the down season. Our peak season is literally as soon as the kids are let out of school to the moment the kids go back into school. We are a 100% true summer resort. In the spring and the fall, a lot of conventions are going on, but conventioneers not necessarily have the time to go out and explore the area.
Yeah.
So, still October is a great month. There's a wonderful coolness in the air. The humidity is starting to drop. A lot of things are still open because it still isn't that cold that businesses are going to close up. So yeah, I mean it's a great day tour to come down and just be by the seashore.
wow.
And
We're
there
Atlantic
is, go on, Milton. I'm
City.
sorry. No, go on.
Atlantic City, and this is the thing that believe me, it really gets into my wife's crawl that everyone believes that all we are is a casino destination, and that's
Yeah.
not
Oh,
true. There was a reason that at one point in time we were called the world's playground. Now, we may not have that reputation any longer, but are so many things that families can do for a day trip. All you have to do is just Google things to do in Atlantic City. In fact, when you do that, chances are the Absecon Lighthouse will be in the top 5.
yeah. I mean, I'm already thinking the next time I'm come down there, I'm gonna stop at the White House, get a sub, and then come check out you guys.
Absolutely. And thank you for calling them subs.
Oh, you know what? Since I got you on, I have to ask you the Jersey Civil War question. Is it Taylor ham or
Sure.
pork roll?
All right. That first thing that you said is an abomination of the English language. It is, always has been, and even the people at Taylor call it pork roll.
Oh,
All
come
right.
on. I
It's
love the
pork roll.
I love Larry's reaction to this every time I have a Jersey person on, but we can all admit the best side dish, whether you call it pork roll or Taylor ham, are disco fries. You can't have one without
Yes.
the other, I feel.
you know, it's so fun you say that. When I was growing up as a kid, there used to be a diner right on the outskirts of Atlantic City called the Hollywood Diner. And it was on the
Yeah,
way to the
yeah.
local movie theater. So when we were kids and we were coming back from the movies, we'd all stop in there. And it was before someone called them disco fries. Back then, when I was growing up, they were just good old fashioned gravy fries. But it's the same thing. And the fact that there's still an option on the menu does my heart and cholesterol count good.
And it's crazy because every restaurant, except for fast food places, obviously, but every place has their own version of disco
Yeah,
fries.
yeah, yep, yep. I remember when I was in college, I went to a small school in Pennsylvania, Lycoming College, up in Williamsport, where the Little League World Series is held.
Yeah.
About 3 or 4 blocks away from my campus was a breakfast luncheonette, and it was called the Busy Bee. And I remember going in there and ordering a Busy Bee burger. And what that was a beef patty with a slice of pork roll and a fried egg on top.
Oh,
And
yeah.
all of my fraternity brothers looked at me like I had 3 heads while I was eating this. And I'm like, what? You guys don't have this where you live in Pennsylvania? Well, oh well, you don't
I'm
know what you're
shocked.
missing, because that was a staple for me when I was growing up.
Yeah, I'm shocked you were able to find it out of Jersey, because you go anywhere else in the world, maybe New York and Philly will have it, but it's
Yep.
completely a Jersey thing, and I just love that
Yeah.
so much.
Yep. Where the egg is just sunny side up, and you bite into it and that yolk just dribbles all over. That to me is home.
Wow. So let's go on with this. Have you ever had someone come in who's a total skeptic, but then experiences something and walks out a believer?
Negative. Negative, because really things really don't go on very often when the public is here. We've had things happen when it's maybe a few of us, like myself, a couple volunteers, my director, but during regular business hours, nothing really goes on. Um, Again, with the paranormal groups that rent the lighthouse out, many of them have been extremely satisfied. But again, as anyone who investigates knows, that it's a hit or miss. Sometimes we'll have folks come and they'll do an entire 5 hour investigation and not even one EVP. Other times we'll have them come in and their equipment will light up like a Christmas tree. It's just, it really is, it's hit or miss. But as for folks coming in off the street to visit us during normal business hours, unfortunately, yeah, that's never happened.
That makes sense, because I guess when you think about it, really a lighthouse is for the night. And if it
Yeah.
is some kind of a beacon for, spirits and things, I mean, I guess it only makes sense. But to add to that, we had the Victoria's Black Swan Inn on, and Joe, the owner, was even like, a lot of people expect to go and do ghost adventures or ghost tours, and find a lot of activity. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. And to add to that,
Yeah.
has there any paranormal investigators come in and try to provoke spirits?
Yes, yes. In fact, now it's funny you say that. Like I said, my volunteer staff, myself, my director, none of us have ever been maliciously harmed. However, when I first came on board, in fact, it was actually a team member of the NJ rope team. And I am right now with you in our conference room. And maybe 10 feet away from me is where we have the routers, the security camera recorder. There's a lot of electricity that goes on, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. One of the theories, of course, for spirits to manifest themselves is that there needs to be a source of energy where they can draw from.
Mhm.
We had one of the NJ Rope team members here trying to provoke a spirit, and when he got home, he took pictures where he had slash claw marks on his chest.
Oh no.
He took pictures and sent them to the team leader. The team leader actually texted them to me. So, yes, they can be provoked. And depending upon who that spirit might be, they may fight back. And
Oh,
again, like I said, I've heard EVPs recordings of, normal folk like you and me. I've heard them people with accents, and I've heard, what I have to assume would be like a street person who uses all sorts of profane language. And if that spirit was maybe, unfortunately a homeless person who may have died in the cold of winter, hey, could understand why that person may lash out if they were
Right.
provoked.
I guess you could also say they cuss like sailors. Get
Yes,
it?
correct, correct.
Wow.
I've been
Like
waiting
a
all show
good
to say
drunken
that.
sailor. Yeah,
Well, also you would have to think, with it being, the casinos around and certain influence that's in the casinos, and if you wrong the certain people at the casinos, you end up
yeah,
outside a, underneath Giant Stadium, or in
yeah,
the,
yeah. Yes, yes.
or, in the water area. Some of those people, again, if we're using the lighthouse as a beacon to the spirits, they're going to end up there. And a lot of those people you don't want to anger, even in death.
Right.
Yep,
Right.
yep. There are places here in town that I am sure could have paranormal activity, but they don't mention anything. And I say that because one of the things that people don't realize is that the reason Atlantic City had the nickname of the world's playground was that during the time of Prohibition, when your gangsters and rum runners pretty much, you know, hailed high, Atlantic City was a huge hub for bootlegging. At that point of time during Prohibition, our county treasurer, his name was Enoch Johnson. Nucky was his name. And if anyone out there is familiar with the old Boardwalk Empire HBO series,
Mm-hmm.
that was based off of an actual book that was written by Nucky's great grandson, Judge Johnson, who's an Atlantic City judge. And it is, all filled with factual information about the days of bootlegging. Nucky invited people like Al Capone, Meyer Lansky, Lucky Luciano, and
Mm.
actually held what they called the mob conference or the mob convention. And he was able to persuade and convince them that by giving him a portion of their income, he would pay off the lawyers, the police, the judges, anyone who could possibly stand in their way to allow Atlantic City to be a huge point of entry for all the illegal alcohol
Oh, he froze up
that
pretty
can
bad.
get their alcohol to Philadelphia, New York, and the politicians in D.C. within hours or days. So there was an awful lot of illegal activity that was going on here. And I'm sure that there are some of these areas in Atlantic City that somewhere down in the foundation may be skeletal remains of somebody who may have crossed the wrong person and never saw the light of day again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it, because I think the thing a lot of people have forgotten when it comes to Atlantic City was the original concept was Vegas of the East Coast.
Yeah, yep, yeah. I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't remember the exact quote, but Nucky once said something along the lines of, "We have wine, women, song, and slot machines. If you have the money, you can find it in Atlantic City." And that
Right.
was the thing,
Right.
because so many people were on the take in this town, folks could come to Atlantic City during the years of Prohibition and, for the most part, drink pretty freely. As long as they didn't act up or create a scene, you could go to a restaurant, speak to the waiter on the side, you could get that coffee cup filled with alcohol. That's where the word speakeasy comes from. You
Mm.
are to speak easy about the establishment that you're going to go visit, as opposed to blabbing your mouth out to the wrong person.
Right. Right.
That's so
Yeah.
That
interesting.
was it.
The more we talk about this, Milton, the more I just love our state's crazy history when you look at it, just New Jersey is not like any other state. It's like parts of us are a major city, but then there's those stretches where we're more of a Midwest kind of state that also has the New York influence on us. An oddity in a lot of ways.
I agree. I agree. For any of you out there who really are into history, I would highly recommend trying to find a book. It's called New Jersey, the Soprano State. And it was written in the 90s by a gentleman by the name of Bob Engel, who used to work for Gannett newspapers. The the politics and corruption of this state go all the way back to colonial times. And the book that he has put together is absolutely amazing. It is filled with true stories of just how so many backdoor political deals were done in New Jersey that have made us, like I said, the soprano state that we are today.
We really are. It's like people joke. Okay, we'll say we've been hinting and joking about the mafia influence in New Jersey. People would think it would be New York, but no, it's all really supposedly, not that I'm saying anything because I'm not a rat. It's supposedly in New Jersey. While we're on the writings about New Jersey, has Weird New Jersey ever covered you guys?
If they have, they haven't reached out to us directly. I'm very familiar with Weird New Jersey, but they've never reached out to us directly. So if they have, then they've just done their own research from whatever sources they utilized.
If you're not sure what Weird New Jersey is, number one, my movie Hillsborough Road would not exist if it wasn't for the magazine Weird New Jersey. New Jersey, like we've been saying, is a weird state, and there now there's Weird Philadelphia. It's spreading, but Weird New Jersey covers a lot of the oddities, weird places in New Jersey. So, Milton, we had a wonderful time having you on. And like I say, this is just part one because I really just want to start having segments on the show where we just do episodes about places in New Jersey. And we want to thank you so much again for being part of Spooktober. Again, all the information about visiting will be in the description. And when the episode goes up, we will link to everything you guys have. Thank you so much for coming on, Milton.
Eric, Larry, thank you for again reaching out to me. It was a complete surprise that you guys did your research, and I'm very grateful that you gave me this opportunity to come on your podcast and tell everybody about our lighthouse. And hopefully, again, hopefully by listening to this, it will stir people's interest on doing a little bit of research on maybe us or some things in their own backyard.
Awesome. And everybody, like we say each and every week, remember, support our troops.